Hi, everybody. Happy New Year 2019. It almost sounds futuristic, doesn't it? So, welcome back. It's been really good to have a few weeks off for me. And let's get back into it. I'm excited about this new year. Today, I want to talk to you about something that is on all of our minds, and that is the resolutions, the goals, the things that we're setting up for ourselves for the new year. And something that we do as human beings is we kind of have this microwave mentality where we want to make all the changes and we want to do it all at one time and we want to do it like yesterday. And I want to help you with that because what that does is it sets us up for failure. So by February 2nd, if you're lucky to make it that long, you're feeling pretty, oh well, that's out the window. Oh well, we'll try again next year. Or maybe I'll try again in the summer. And I want to give you some tools or some ideas of how maybe you can avoid that and be more successful this year, and also train your brain to be your biggest fan and to help you be more successful and not that big tool that works against you. The first thing that I want you to do is I want you to think small. Not often do we hear people say that, think small. Everything is always think big. I want you to think small. What are some small changes that you want to make for yourself, whether it's mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, which that seems to be the real big one that everybody goes for in January, mostly because we've just eaten all the things and done nothing for the past month. So the idea of drinking smoothies and eating, is lettuce safe now? So eating lettuce, that all sounds really appealing because our bodies are like, oh, I've had too much flour and gluten and sugar and alcohol and whatever else. For me, it's soda. Again with the soda. So we're thinking about how can we make a change? How can we make our bodies better? Whatever the change is for you, I want you to think on a smaller level because studies prove that when we choose one small change and we focus on one small change at a time, we are more successful. So that's number one. I want you to pick one small change to be consistent with. Number two, January 2nd has a lot of pressure on it because we get through the new year or we get through the holidays and we think, okay, January 2nd, January 3rd, it is on. I am making these changes. And what happens is we jump into these changes without really thinking it through or making a plan. We're going more just based on our feelings. I'd like to encourage you to maybe push off the new changes that you want to make until at least the middle of January, or maybe even think about doing it February 1st, starting there. And the reason for that is because it takes the pressure off of having to jump into the deep end of the pool right at January 2nd. I mean, we're past that anyways. But it gives you time to make a plan and to really decide, is this the change that I want to make? Because we're going to start with one small change. And if we have 12 months of one small change a month, we have a greater success rate come the end of the year. And we've set ourselves up with momentum and success the following year, and we're doing much better, and we've retrained our brain to be an encourager instead of that thing that it's wired to do, which is to keep us safe and to keep us comfortable. Okay? Number 3, that's the number I'm on, right? Number 3, I want you to consider, instead of taking the mindset of what am I getting rid of, what can I add in? Okay, so ask yourself, for me, I need to drink more water. I mean, there's a ton of things that I need to do, truly, to be better for myself. But since we're probably all on the same bandwagon of the physical thing, I'm going to stick with that. I need to do a lot of things, but I know that I am struggling with water. And so if I tell my brain that I want to add in versus I want to take away, my brain doesn't do that whole freak out thing of saying, no, I want to keep you comfortable. You don't want to not give that thing up. What it does is you give yourself, I want, it's a positive, your brain supports that. I want to add more water. And then when we add in things like, hey, I can have my Devil's Juice Coke Zero after I drink 2 things of water or 1 thing of water. A lot of times I don't want that once I've had the water. But my brain is there for me in that scenario more so than if I say no more soda. My brain's like, oh, you just wait. I'm going to remind you about how much you want soda all the time. But if I don't take that route, and it's kind of like coming through the back door of rewiring your brain, okay? And just so you can understand this, what we do a lot of times in January is we unplug all the wires in our brain. And if we did that at home with our technology, everything would shut down and crash. It's the same thing with your brain. That's why February 2nd comes around and everything crashes and burns and we're not successful and we feel bad about ourselves and we feel like a failure. So I don't want you to try to do all the things at one time. Pick one small change, start a little later and make a plan. And then I want you to see what you can add in versus subtracting. This is all called the power of one. I wrote an article about it. You can check it out on my website, michellerousefox.com. There's an article that gives you a lot more detail if you want to check that out. I did not make my goal of 5 minutes or less, but it's just so exciting to be back. It is a new year. We have so much to talk about, and I am looking forward to this. Thank you for being on this journey. I will see you next week.